Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter, at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is Frank Valentin. You can learn more about Frank by going to his website, searchingtruth.org, like him on Facebook, /Searching Truth, and subscribe to his YouTube channel, Searching Truth. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on your show again.
Thank you. Well, we're so happy to have you back for a second time. I know you personally, and we talk all the time. You have a problem with the term near-death experience. Tell us why, and also tell us why you prefer to call it a spiritual experience.
Okay, yes. I do have a problem. Well, I don't want to make a big issue out of the word near-death experience because of the different connotation that people have given to it. But near-death experience, in my book, based on my experience, having been there myself, I've learned that a near-death experience is nothing different from a spiritual experience. The problem with the term near-death experience is that, for instance, if you go to Wikipedia, just to give you an example, you have pages and pages and pages. I mean, you can keep scrolling down and down and down, trying to figure out what it is based on people's experience, religion, science, society. But nevertheless, this is no different than a spiritual experience. You can give every single kind of explanations that you want, every single term that you want, but it's nothing different than a spiritual experience. If you allow me to, for example, I can help you and your audience understand what a near-death experience is. Although I would like to call it a spiritual experience, just because everybody looks at the term near-death experience, let's keep using the near-death experience word while I can try to make people understand what it is. For example, because I had a near-death experience by myself in 1979, I died due to a car accident, and I was there. I had the experience, and I brought with me that vivid memory of that world that does exist, and it is so hard to comprehend. If I draw a line, let's say, for example, a horizontal line, just to help you understand what a near-death experience is. If I draw that horizontal line, or ask you to draw a line, and split it in half, the first half, the one half side that is going to be on your right-hand side, let's say that is the physical world. And then in the other half, the one that is going to be on your left, you're going to call it the spiritual side. Right on that line that you draw that divide the physical and the spiritual, that dividing line is what a near-death experience is called, which is nothing more than a glimpse from that person that is in the physical world, taking a glimpse of the spiritual side, and when that person comes back, it comes back with a memory of what took place on that other realm. The problem, the biggest problem here is that the one who had a near-death experience has to face one of the biggest problems, not knowing what took place. That's for sure. Then they ask themselves, because I did it myself, who can I trust? Can I trust religion? Religion is not going to believe me because the Orthodox tradition in this Western Hemisphere is highly. They go into the Christianity aspect of religion, and that's a no-no. Then you go to the psychology side of the culture we live in, and they say, no, you just had an hallucination. And they both have opposite point of views. So what happened to the one who had the near-death experience? he just feels isolated. That's it, isolated. And he doesn't know, or she doesn't know, who to turn to. And then you have to start figuring out what happened to you. Some people say, well, you know what, it was probably a hallucination, and they just erase it from the memory bank. And there are others, they start trying to figure it out into, is this part of a religion? It is something else? But most of them are isolated, and then there's a tug-of-war between religion, philosophy, and culture, and they don't know which way to go. But my point here is that when you have that so-called near-death experience, the number one killer is perception, because everyone see it differently. Some people see the tunnel, others see the light, others see the void. In my personal specific case, I saw the void. Then you have seen people saying, for example, I saw a lost loved one, I saw God, I saw Jesus. But what they don't realize is that not even science, that this is all about perception. So let me give you an example of what I mean by perception.
Sure.
Let's imagine, for instance, let's take computers, because this is something that everybody can relate to. The computer system uses a binary language, which is zeros and ones, that the computer, which is the brain of that equipment, the computer then translates those zeros and ones into images to a screen, so you can understand what's going on, and so you can work with whatever the computer has for you to work with. If we create an analogy, we can work it out this way. If in the physical world we have a computer with a binary language that we interpret into images, the spirit world does have a language, but the language in the spirit world is called intent. The intent is very sublime, and the brain can only perceive the intention and creates an image, so that way the person can understand what's going on. For instance, if I give you the example of, if I ask you to describe me the word serenity, what will you tell me?
Serenity to me?
Yeah.
To me, the word serenity to me would mean, for lack of a better word, bliss. I guess if I'm in total bliss, it's serenity. Is that sound right?
Sure. Describe me bliss then.
Bliss to me is complete happiness, complete release of any worries or thoughts that I may be having.
Okay, well, if you see, by asking you, you gave me another word. And when I ask you, you gave me another word. So then you change it to happiness, then you can change it for, you have to describe it with words. In other words, you have to create an image that you can relate to in order for you to understand one principle and try to describe it. Well, I gave you the word serenity, and it ended up in happiness, from one to the other, to the other, to the other. If, for example, we take someone who had a near-death experience, whatever experience they had, through their perceptive mind, they will give a definition, they will make a description, and the description and definition will be based on their culture, religious belief, social and culture upbringing, and so forth. For instance, if you are in the East, you're going to have an experience totally different if you were raised in the West. So, for example, if you're in the West and you believe in through Christianity, you're not going to see Buddha, and so forth. So that is the problem, perception. Once we understand how perception works, and once we understand that we in fact go to a new realm that we are unaware of, but it's very much in existence, then we can begin to understand how the process works. You
Absolutely.
See?
I do, yes. We have a caller actually that's calling in. Would you mind taking the caller now?
Sure, no problem.
Welcome to Healing from Within. This is Tony and Frank.
Hello, this is Delphine. I'm in Indianapolis.
Oh, hi, Delphine. How are you?
Okay. I'm doing fine.
So what question do you have for Frank? What question do you have for Frank?
Well, as you know, that I've done a lot of research on near-death experiences, and although I personally never really have had one, the traditional sense, but as a nurse, I came across a lot of my patients that did have a out-of-body and a near-death experience and so forth, and basically, I guess my question would be, has he done any research or stuff as far as how someone can have a near-death experience without necessarily dying by simply experiencing a traumatic event in their life?
Yes, I have known a lot of cases, and I know because of my understanding and interpretation of what a near-death experience is. Being a spiritual experience, it can happen at any time. The problem is that the word near-death experience, it is usually tagged along the fact that somebody it is either in an operating room and detaches from the body, or have an accident, an accidental bodily injury, and the soul detaches from the physical body. That experience is gonna take you to that realm on a very uncontrolled environment. In other words, you abruptly got out of your body, and you find yourself in this realm that you really don't understand. Then someone comes back and say, "You're not ready. Go back." And then you find yourself in the physical body, asking yourself, "What the heck happened?" But I have known a lot of people that have had out-of-body experiences that they're fully aware that they are souls in nature, and they are at peace with that fact. And I've known people that have the ability to go in out-of-body experiences and go different places. I've talked to them myself, and people that I know that I have no reason to doubt of their abilities. But at the same time, there are a lot of people that go through a similar experience in meditation process. You don't have to almost die to have that spiritual experience. I myself have been in trances and meditations, trances that I have been out of my body, not physical body, but into a different experiences of different realms. I've seen it. And because of my personality and my traces, knowing myself as a very, how should I say, I would not like to say controversial, but very analytical, questioning everything. When I go through those experiences, I get it. You see, I get it. I don't go into the psychological, scientific point of view, but neither do I go deep into religion. I just know that that world does exist, and I know how it works because I've been there myself. So that is my problem with the word near-death experience. There are plenty of spiritual experience that can be termed as near-death, and there are many others that people don't know how to label just because they didn't go through what humanity called near-death experience as something that have to follow these patterns or these signs or this whatever. So if you take away the word near-death experience and understand that those experiences of you going into a new realm, they are indeed spiritual experience, then you don't have to be dealing with those near-death, OBE, or whatever people want to call them. You see, the problem is that people love to give terms to things and then put stages. For example, the other day I came across this website that they talk about near-death experience, that they had 4 stages. I mean, give me a break. You know, how many stages do you want to put to a near-death experience? Are you following me?
Yes.
So did I answer your question?
Yes, actually, well, that gets to, if I can ask one more thing, that
Absolutely.
as you mentioned, what I experienced actually more than one time is, I want to say, a spiritual experience where people that have had a near-death experience speak about a place of tremendous peace and joy and calmness and so forth. I have experienced that through, as you said, meditation and prayer. So was that actually basically like I guess an out-of-body experience, or into a different realm that I experienced?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You got to remember something. When people call near-death experience out-of-body experience, they think that they go somewhere else. They don't, because everything is a stage of mind. If you understand that everything is a stage of mind, then you realize that when you are, for example, in a meditation stage, you are in a stage of mind that you're receptive to receive those influences that abound on that realm that you are in good vibe with. You are vibrating at that energy level that you actually tap into that reality, and you can perceive it. Once you perceive it, it goes to your memory bank, and when you go back, you keep it in memory, and you understand that you did have a spiritual experience. You see, if everyone would use the word it's spiritual experience, they would not have to try to figure it out. Like you just said, what did I have? I had this bliss moment. I had this experience, so I don't know where to put it. Where's the box that this experience fit in? If we and if we remove all those boxes and you realize, yes, I did have a spiritual experience. You don't have to define it in any other way. And that way you feel at peace whenever you feel that bliss within you, knowing that you did have a spiritual experience. Did I answer that question?
Yes, that's sort of where my track of thinking was, that even though I didn't die, I still was able to shift consciousness, as you said, and experience a peaceful, loving place that near-death experience people talk about. So I've experienced it for myself, and I want to say that it is truly a very, very peaceful, loving, tremendous, the most awesome place you can ever, I guess, experience.
Oh, yes. You have, in order for you to really, really understand, you have to have the experience yourself. And also, please keep in mind, Delphine, that it is within you.
Yes.
So if you look within yourself and you learn to know yourself from within, you don't have anything to worry about anything else. They can call it whatever they want.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, since we have Delphine on the line, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, because he said he was a nurse and he's experienced a lot of, for lack of a better word, near-death experiences
with patients.
In dying, yes. So why don't you, Frank, tell him or talk about the shared death experience? Is that what that's called?
And you're asking me about my shared near-death experience in the year 2000?
Yeah, the shared death experience, because he is a nurse and I feel. Do you think that he has shared a near-death experience with someone?
Wait a minute. I can you rephrase the question, because I'm not following you. You want me to talk about the? Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. What I was asking is, Delphine mentioned that he is a nurse, and he has experienced or shared dying with patients. And I know that part of what you do and what you've explained to and what we've talked about is a shared death experience. So I was going to ask you to explain shared death experience, and if you feel that Delphine, is that what he experienced when he was with these patients? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know unless Delphine really give me a full explanation of what happened. I would not know if he had a near-death experience with somebody else. Delphine, have you had a near-death experience with someone that you were taking care of as a nurse?
Actually, it's not so much as a patient, but I know that when both my parents passed away, I know that when my dad passed away, I could still basically feel him right next to me, basically almost hear his voice, that I exactly know what he sounded like. And in fact, sometimes I even felt like he was in me as I was walking around. I was walking just like he did, because he had bad knees and so forth. And then I was kind of struck by that, and I knew he was around me. And even my mom, when she passed away in 2013, I had the same thing. We were, in fact, my wife and I were driving back from Texas because she had been in the hospital and so forth. She passed away. We drove back, and then I was getting this feeling that they were right in the back seat with us as we were driving back to Kentucky from Texas.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that will give me a chance to explain this. Many are the cases that people have shared near-death experience with loved ones when they pass on. The thing is that if you are not paying attention to those little details, you will not know that they are there with you. For example, in your case, often you were able to sense his presence, and you were able to acknowledge his presence. But there's a lot of people out there that the problem is that this is not taught in any school. So people don't know. I mean, for example, I am one of them. When I went through my shared near-death experience with my mom, I took it as something normal, something that happened, something awkward, but I never gave it the intensity of the experience that I went through until I had my experience in 2011, when I got this awakening moment, when I realized that of how many spiritual experience I had shared throughout my lifetime. So if you have lost a loved one, or you're close to, if you fine-tune within yourself, when that time comes, you might be much receptive to receive that loving message of that loved one, reassuring you that that other person is very well and alive. So I urge everybody that is listening to fine-tune into that reality that does exist. And like I said before, it is so hard to comprehend, but does exist. And the example is right there in front of me. Delphine had that experience. You felt the presence of your father. You felt the bliss. You know it does exist. The problem is validation. People need validation because this is something fairly new to everyone. You got religion from one side fighting with psychology for the other, and they don't get, they're totally opposite point of view. And here we are, right in the middle, trying to figure out what's going on. So fine-tune. Everybody needs to fine-tune within themselves so they can be more aware of that reality.
I think when you keep, keep mentioning religion, which I mention a lot to people as well, that, as you said, a person's belief is going to have a lot to do with what you're experiencing, and by I guess following the religion so strict. In fact, I just put something like that on Facebook the other day, how the great law of love is there's just one law, which is love, and in the Bible it mentions in Matthew 22 how they were asking him what is the greatest law in and he said that basically to love God above all and your neighbor as yourself, and that I came to find out that love is the one universal law, but religion adds all these rituals and traditions, and it just basically confuses the whole thing instead of just making it simple in the spiritual to love, and that's basically what we're supposed to be learning to do.
Yeah. If we become more spiritual, we will understand that we are creating all this mess all ourselves. It is so simple. Everything is based on love. That bliss that you felt is the same bliss that I have felt the times that I had those spiritual experiences, the same bliss I receive when I'm in deep meditation. And if everybody fine-tuned to that bliss, then love will take care of the rest. That's simple. That's simple. The problem is that humanity is always saying, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Let me show you the way. and that's the whole problem.
Yeah, there's like a million religions and a million different beliefs, and they all claim that they're the right ones, and that they're all just walking on top of each other, and they're missing the simple point that, like as you said, love. That is the spiritual point. That's the connection to Source, to God, and if you're not connected to that, you're going to be arguing, and you're going to be missing the entire point, and you're going to miss out on a lot of awesome experiences that people could have.
Exactly. Okay.
Perfect.
Any more questions?
Okay. Delphine?
Yes.
Did you have any other questions, or did he answer your questions?
No, yeah, answer my question. I guess we can let other people that they can call in, and I'm sure they have questions too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Delbert.
bye.
Hey, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so
I was going to ask you next. This is your second time on the show. So for the benefit of the people that didn't listen to the first show, can you please tell us about the first show and what covered? Give us a refresher, and also tell us what was it that you were trying to tell people in our first show?
Okay. First of all, my why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to help people understand what a near-death experience is and what really takes place. Reason why is because I am an NDE-er myself, because that's the new term now. First, you have NDE as an acronym for near-death experience, and now the new trend is calling people NDE-ers. But anyways, my spiritual experience began in 1979 when at the age of 17, and due to a car accident, I died. When I died, I went into the void. Being so young and being raised in Christianity, very Orthodox Catholic system, no one believed me. So I decided to take it on myself, and I began the journey of reading everything I could, trying to learn and understand what took place, and figure it out. The first lesson that I learned is not to believe everything that is being written, because having the experience myself, I knew what was right and what was wrong. I mean, based on the interpretation and the many writings that I was reading about. But my life was normal, and I kept on with my life. I raised a family, and but at the age of 52, I believe, and that was in 2011, I did have a spiritual experience of great proportions. I don't think we're going to have time for me to explain that much, but in a nutshell, that in 2011, let's say that a spirit of light made contact with me to remind me of an agreement that took place in 1979. I was totally overwhelmed by that, but then I realized that I had my death experience in 1979, which I was not fully. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, Frank. We lost you for a minute there.
Oh, I'm sorry. What part did you not hear?
Just continue. I think we'll be fine because.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what happened was that then I realized that in the year 2000, I had a near-death experience that I shared with my dying mother. When she was about to die, she was supposed to die within a few hours, but then she came back to resolve some legal issues that had to take place. I was baffled but I didn't know that it was a near-death experience, and I didn't know that there was spiritual intervention. But then in the year 2002, I had a near-death experience myself. When I was getting up from bed, I realized that everything was total white, and I got the presence of the light, and I was being drawn by the light, and I was ready to go, because it was the very same experience that I had in 1979, except that in 1979 I went through the void, and in the year 2002 I saw the light. And that's when I learned, but I did learn it in 2011, but that experience taught me that everything is about perception. Because in 1979 I saw the total darkness, a beautiful, blissful experience in the void, but this time I was looking at the light. So what was it? Was it darkness or light? That's when I realized that everything is based on perception. Then in 2010, I had a mystical experience, I should say, where a spirit of light talked to me through a meditation state, telling me to no longer learn from the outside world, because everything I was going to learn moving forward was going to be from within. And that's when I had that spiritual experience in 2011. That was the point that where I began to understand that I had some work to do, something beyond my comprehension, but something that happened in 1979 that in 2011 had to be unveiled, and it did happen. So because of that, I'm here today speaking to you, speaking to people. I've created a web page. I've written a book about near-death experience. I'm working on the experience I had in 2011. And I am moving forward to help people understand how a near-death experience takes place and how to return back home. That's my purpose in life right now as we speak. Help people understand what a near-death experience is and help them go back home.
Got it. Understand. Great. And I know that in conversations that I've had with you, you've talked about higher truth. Can you tell us what it is? And tell us all about higher truth.
Higher truth. Wow. Okay. Higher truth. Let me see, how can I explain this? Higher truth is like math. Do you remember when you were a child and you were taught to memorize the numbers from 1 to 10? I was so young that I don't even remember how old I was. But when the teacher taught me how to count from 1 to 10, she explained to me that I was going to learn the foundations of all the numbers. I remember that because I felt so proud trying to memorize those numbers from 1 to 10. And when I had to recite in front of the classroom, I was very proud that I did my job and I learned all the numbers. Next thing I know, the teacher said, "Hey class, now we're gonna teach you to learn to memorize the numbers from 10 to 20." And that was my first shocker. Wait a minute, didn't you just taught me how to count all the numbers from 1 to 10? What is this from 10 to 20? Which that's higher truth. And then I learned to add and subtract, and then multiply, and then I divide. So higher truth is one step closer to a bigger understanding of how this all works. If I give you the analogy of math, I can tell you that I can teach you how to read numbers from 1 to, but then I'm going to change and I'm going to say that now we're going to learn from 10 to 20. Then I'm going to show you how to add. And once you know the concept of adding and subtracting, then I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to teach you how to add -5 plus 2. That will be equal to -3. Mind-boggling at first, but that's higher truth, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
Same thing. When I speak higher truth, I don't pretend to call it the ultimate truth, because that ultimate truth, we will not understand it until we start seeking from within. Because I can tell you everything that I know, and you might say, yeah, I know, yeah, I kind of get it. But unless you go through the experience yourself, you will not understand higher truth. But by me giving you information that goes beyond the reasoning and you pondering about it, it's like me telling you, for instance, that there we have positive numbers and negative numbers in the mathematical equation, or give you formulas that are real, that they do exist, but people are not even aware of. When I speak higher truth, I mean, when I say that I speak higher truth, is because in 2011, when that, let's say, spirit of light approached me to remind me of an agreement that took place in 1979, before that spirit of light left, he gave me access to higher truth from what I might call the collective forces of knowledge and wisdom. Let me put it this way. After that experience, I began working in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 a.m., and I began to download information that I didn't even know that it existed. So because it was in the middle of the night, I began to record that information, and then realizing how deep that information was. But for me, it was so easy because I got it, let's say, from the abstract. I gave it form. I understood. And after understanding, I was able to put it into words. So now I have information that I didn't know that I knew, but I was learning in the process of the downloading. And if you go to my website, for example, I have them in what I call them transcript. For example, the experience that I have in 2011, if you go to my About page in my website, you're gonna hear the story in a nutshell, and then you can read the first transcript that took place during that evening, and following transcript, because if you go to the tab of transcript, you're gonna read higher truth, not from my words, but from higher sources. That is from what truth.
From what you
higher
received,
sources.
Right. Absolutely. We do have another caller, and I was going to go ahead and bring her in. You're ready for another caller?
Sure.
Okay, great. Hello, Veronica from Illinois. Thank you for calling. How can Frank help you?
Hi, Tony. I just love your show. I just wanted to tell you that. And Frank,
thank you.
I had a question for you, Frank. Does everybody near death have a near-death experience? Meaning, are people that are like near death in hospitals or in hospice, or have had car accidents or other near death? Do they always have a near death experience? Why would they, or why would they not?
Okay, remember, let's begin from this premise. A near death experience can be called a near death experience only if you bring it back to memory. Meaning that if I did have the experience and I did not bring it back to memory, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. To give you an example, in 1979 I had a car accident, but I did not remember what took place. And in 2011 I was remembered of something that happened, an agreement that took place, but it wasn't in my memory bank.
So is there a trigger? Is there a trigger that would allow somebody to remember a near-death experience, maybe not necessarily at that time, but something that triggers them 10, 15 years later?
Oh, I have no reason to believe that it cannot happen. It happened to me. To give you an example, many people have, for instance, let me give you just one example. When I had the near-death experience in 1979, I remember asking myself 3 questions: who am I, who's my father, and who's my mother?
Okay.
I could never get a straight answer as much as I tried to, but it wasn't until after maybe 2 years ago. We're talking about 30-something years after that experience that I realized that I was asking those questions because I was a soul trying to identify with my identity, the Frank Valentin that I was back then in age 17. Where am I that I don't have a physical body? So if I'm alive, I should have a physical body. Why don't I have a physical body? And if I'm alive, it's because I have a father and a mother. So where are they? You see? So someone might have a spiritual experience and not necessarily bring it back to memory, and years later saying, wait a minute, how come now I think of this and this and this and that? There are things that can trigger that. Maybe you're not ready to receive that information right there and there, like it happened to me, and maybe you're not supposed to even know.
So I could have had So I could have had one and just not even know it, or I could have had one and maybe it's just not, a good time for me to know it, or I could have had one and maybe it'll present itself later on when I'm ready to receive.
Exactly.
Okay.
Fine tune with yourself and ask yourself that question. It will come to you.
Yep, I wrote the 3 questions down. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, sure, you're welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you, Tony.
Mm-hmm. Bye, Veronica.
Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick little reminder to everyone. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen. You can contact me directly, Tony@TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen, or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, Frank Valentin. You can learn more about Frank by going to his website, searchingtruth.org. Like him on Facebook, Searching Truth, and subscribe to his YouTube channel by the same name, Searching Truth. Now, Frank, tell us about the different experiences you have had with NDE. How has that helped you become a better person? And what I mean by that is I know that you've had more than one near-death experience, and you've touched on it, but how has that impacted your life and what you feel about the spiritual that you've experienced?
Well, let me first tell you that even though it might seem easy or like this is a bliss or something like that, it is not, because it's a very difficult thing to do when you start working in the spiritual realm. Because first you have to let go of your old self. I remember, for example, in my experience in 2011, that I was missing my old me. I was missing my old me because I began to see things differently. I began to understand people more. I began to let go of attachments. I stopped judging people. And so many other things that I was saying to myself, well, what am I becoming? I mean, this is getting kind of weird to me until I got used to it. And I'm still working on that. There's a lot of things that I know from the transcript, for instance, that I tell my wife, if I know and if I can do everything that I say and know, I wouldn't be here. But I am here because I'm still human working with what I need to work with. You see?
Right.
Because in order for me to become a better person, a spiritual person, to be one within, I have to start learning to let go of everything that attached me to this earth plane. And that is not easy at first. But it's like Like I've heard from, I don't know if you know Ram Dass, which is someone that I have read a lot about. He just he mentioned something very, very funny that I liked. That he said, well, start detaching, start letting go of things little by little. Start with letting go of M&M. You start with the little things and move on into higher things that you know that you have to let go if you are seeking the spirit world. For example, if you, for instance, many people love gossiping. For instance, if you know that the spirit world and the behavior that we have to embrace is a different one, you have to start letting go of those. For example, TV programs that all they talk is about gossiping and not reading anything that has to do with gossiping, and stop gossiping and walking away from people that are always gossiping. I mean, you have to. It's kind of isolating yourself from the world, but in a good sense, because at the end of the day, the question that you have to make to yourself is, when the time comes, which side of the fence do I want to be in? And that's a tough question to make. I mean, when you start thinking about it, which side of the fence you want to be in when the time comes? That's something that you cannot do as a last minute, because life doesn't work that way. You have to work from now, changing your eating habits, your culture habits, your understanding of what life is, and think on higher truth, so you can understand things better. So when that time comes, you are on that side of the fence you actually want to be in when the time comes. My work is to help people understand that, and it has changed my life a lot. And that is what I'm doing now. I'm dedicating 100% of my life. I even quit my job to do this, 100%. It's like we talked about it, 10%.
Yeah.
So I have no choice. I am in this path, in this route, because I am committed. And it's not because I chose to just out of the blues. It's just that I know that there's something that I have to do, and some agreement that I did, and everything is gearing to that, to comply with that agreement, and I'm doing my part. That's all I'm doing. I mean, everything is given to me. For example, the transcript, the higher truth is given to me. What am I going to do with that? I have to post it. I have to write books. I have to get out there and spread the word. That's my job. That's what I do.
Absolutely. And in our last remaining minutes, Frank, why don't you tell people about your future projects? Because I want people to find you.
Yes, please. This is what I do. I'm currently, I do have a website which talks about me, talks about the transcript, talks about near-death experience, and I do lectures. I do live lectures about near-death experience. There's a tab on my webpage. I've been doing lectures for about 6 months now, but I have found out that there's a lot of people that want to go to the lecture, but because of the day, because of the time, because of the distance, they cannot make it. And there's a lot of people that I'm leaving behind. And to avoid that and to help people, what I've done was I have put together my live lectures into the lecture tab of my webpage for you to see it for free. I'm going to be posting that effective on August the 1st for all those people that are interested, or those that have not been able to see my live lectures, so they can have an understanding, a better understanding of what a near-death experience is. You might call me controversial, but I speak the truth. That's the way it is. And my future plans, in addition to my book that I already have out there on Amazon, which you can access through my web page and the link of the library, I have a book about near-death experience. Actually, in the beginning of this dialogue that I had with you, that I asked you to draw a horizontal line with the physical side on the right and the spiritual side on the left, if you go to my library and you see the book Near-Death Experience, you're going to see that drawing right there in a blackboard.
On the
so
cover.
You can have
on the cover.
Yeah, on the cover, so you can have a clear understanding of what I was talking about. Read the book so you can have a better insight of what a near-death experience is. And my future plans are doing a workshop, which I already did my first workshop about 2 weeks ago, and it was a total success. But I want to make that workshop available online too. So just sign into my website, and you're going to see all my future projects. I have so many things on the drawing board that it's going to take me a lifetime and a half to finish up. So I have to put as much as I can, as fast as I can, with whatever time I have left in this earth plane. So if you follow me, we can go very far. That's about it.
Yep.
Because there are way too many projects that I have on hand, and I might let's see how far I can go with this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frank. And I want to remind everyone that the website is searchingtruth.org, and you go to the lectures tab, and then you go down, and where it says free, what does it say, Frank? Free, trying to remember what the website says.
Free video.
Free video. And it's just text, but click on the text, and you'll be able to get the free video. Well, Frank, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, and I'm available anytime that you want to talk about near-death experience, reincarnation, the purpose of life. I mean, you name it, I can talk about that.